The universe is not outside of you. What you see out there, what you experience in your world, is nothing more than the outpicture in your own consciousness. Everything that exists in your world was first born in your imagination. Now, let me share a story from my own experience. Several years ago, when I was living in New York, I found myself in what the world would call a difficult situation. Bills were mounting, opportunities seemed scarce, and the external world appeared hostile. But I knew then, as I know now, that what I was experiencing was simply the harvest of my previous mental activity. You see, my dear friends, the secret lies not in fighting against these circumstances, but in completely relaxing into the awareness of who really are. You are God Himself individualized. You are the operant power of the universe expressing itself as you. Let us dive deeper into this magnificent truth. When I speak of relaxation, I am not merely talking about physical relaxation, though that is important. I am speaking of a profound mental action, a complete surrender to your divine nature. The first principle you must understand is this: your consciousness, your I am-ness is God. When you say I am, you are proclaiming the name of God. This is not a metaphor, my dear friends. This is the absolute truth of your being. Now, how does one truly relax and trust the universe? It begins with understanding that what you seek is already yours in the invisible realm of imagination. Whatever you desire, be it wealth, love, health, or success, already exists in what I call the fourth dimension, the dimension of imagination. Let me share with you a technique used countless times. I call it the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Before you go to sleep at night, assume the feeling that would be yours if your desire were already realized. Feel the naturalness of having what you want. Feel the relief, the satisfaction, the joy that would be yours. For instance, if you desire, do not focus on the lack of money in your current experience. Instead, feel the feeling of financial security. Feel how you would feel if your bank account were overflowing. Feel the satisfaction of paying your bills with ease. Feel the joy of helping others with your abundance. The secret, my dear friends, is to persist in this feeling until it becomes your predominant state. Remember, your outer world must conform to your inner assumptions. This is law. Let me tell you about the lady who attended one of my lectures in Los Angeles. She was struggling with chronic anxiety about her future. She constantly worried about everything that could go wrong. I told her, my dear, you are creating your future with these very worries. Instead, why not imagine lovingly? Why not assume that all is well? I instructed the beings just before sleep, feeling the peace and security she desired. I told her to feel it so naturally that it would be impossible to believe otherwise. Within weeks, her entire world transformed. Her anxiety dissolved, opportunities appeared seemingly out of nowhere, and life began to flow effortlessly. You see, when you truly relax and trust, you are acknowledging your own divinity. You are recognizing that the power that created the universe is not separate from you. It is you. Now, let me share with you the deeper aspects of trust. Trust is not about believing in an external power. True trust is the absolute conviction that imagination creates reality. When you imagine something, you are literally creating it on a spiritual level. Your only task then is to remain faithful to your imaginal act. Consider this every morning when you wake up. You trust that the sun will rise. You don't worry about it. You don't try to mate, and you simply will. This is the kind of trust I'm talking about, an absolute knowing that what you have imagined must materialize in your physical world. Let me give you a spiritual exercise that I have found immensely powerful. I call it the Sabbath. Choose a time each day when you be completely alone and undisturbed. Close your eyes and mentally declare, "Be still and know that I am God." Feel the truth of these words. Feel the power and presence of your own wonderful human imagination. Then bring to mind your desire, whatever it may be. But here's the crucial part. Don't think of it as something to be achieved in the future. Instead, feel that you already have it. Feel the gratitude, the joy, the completion, then rest in this feeling. This is what it means to enter the Sabbath, to rest in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled. Remember, my dear friends, the universe, which is your wonderful human imagination, operates by law. Just as a seed planted in fertile soil must grow, so must your imaginal acts bear fruit in your physical world. But you must give your seed time to grow. This is where trust becomes essential. After you have planted your seed, after you have ascended the few wish fulfilled, you must trust the law. Don't dig up your seed to see if it's growing. Trust that the law is working, even when you can't see the evidence with your physical eyes. Let me share another personal experience. Years ago, I desired to be consumptor, sharing these truths with others. Instead of struggling and striving, I would lie in my bed at night and imagine hearing the applause of an audience. I would feel the joy of sharing these principles. I would feel the gratitude of those who understood and applied these truths. I did this knowing it to be real, feeling it to be natural. I didn't question how it would happen. I didn't worry about the steps needed to make it happen. I simply lived in the end, enjoying the feeling of it being done. And here I stand before you tonight, living proof that the law works. The secret was in completely relaxing into the consciousness of the wish fulfilled and trusting that the law must operate according to my assumption. Now, let me address something that many struggle with, the appearance of circumstances that seem to contradict your desire. Remember this: what you see in the outer world is only the shadow of past thoughts and assumptions. It has no power to prevent your new assumption from materializing. When doubts arise, and they will simply return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, don't fight doubts, don't struggle against them. Swing your attention back to the feeling of having what you desire. This is what it means to trust. Think of it this way. When you go to the theater to watch a play, you see various scenes unfold on the stage. Some may be tragic, some may be comic, but you remain relaxed in your seat because you know it's just a play. In the same way, learn to watch the scenes of your life unfold with the same detachment, knowing that your imagination is the author and finisher of your story. The key to relaxation and trust lies in this profound understanding. There is nothing to change but your assumptions about yourself and your world. When you change your assumptions, when you change what you believe to be true about yourself and your world, the outer picture must change to conform to your new assumption. Let me give you a practical technique for maintaining this relaxed state of trust. Throughout your day, whenever you notice yourself becoming tense or worried, pause and ask yourself, what am I imagining right now? You'll find that your attention and worry are always connected to negative imagining. Then, consciously choose to imagine something better. Remember, you are not trying to change the outer world directly. You are changing your inner assumption the outer world must follow. This, my dear friends, is the secret of relaxation and trust. It's not about making things happen. It's about assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled and allowing the law to operate in its own perfect way and time. Before we conclude tonight's lecture, let me remind you of these essential truths. You are God individualized as you. Your imagination creates reality. What you assume to be true will harden into fact. The outer world must conform to your inner assumptions. Relaxation and trust are natural when you understand these truths. Go forth tonight and test this law. Choose something you desire to experience. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel the naturalness of having what you want. Then relax and trust that what you have assumed must manifest. Let me share with you another personal experience that illustrates this principle beautifully. Many years ago, when I was in Barbados, I met a man who was constantly worried about his business. He would come to me day after day, his face lined with concern, telling me about all the things that could go wrong. I said to him, "My friend, do you know what you are doing? You are imagining the very things you fear and therefore bringing them into your experience." I taught him what I'm teaching you tonight. That relaxation comes from the complete acceptance of your own wonderful human imagination as God. I told him, instead of imagining failure, why not imagine success? Instead of feeling tension about your business, why not feel the satisfaction of a thriving enterprise? You see, my dear wonderful friends, the secret lies in this. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret of creation. When you trust your imagination completely, when you relax into the consciousness of your desire fulfilled, you are exercising your divine creative power. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. Yet Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. This is not merely a poetic passage from Scripture. As a conspiritual truth. The lily doesn't struggle to become a lily. It doesn't strive or worry. It simply unfolds according to its nature. You too must learn to unfold naturally into your desires. This is what true relaxation means. It means knowing with absolute conviction what you have assumed in your imagination must objectify itself in your world. Let me give you another technique that I have found particularly powerful. I call it the state akin to sleep. Find a comfortable place where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and allow your body to relax completely. Now, in this state of physical relaxation, begin to feel yourself into the scene that would imply your desire is already fulfilled. For instance, if you desire a loving relationship, feel yourself being embraced by your perfect partner. Feel the warmth of their love. Feel the joy of sharing your life with someone who adores you. Make it real in your imagination. Feel it until it feels natural. Remember, my dear friends, you are not trying to make something happen in the future. You are acknowledging what is already true in the eternal now of imagination. This is why trust is so essential. You must trust that what you have imagined is already done. Let me share with you a letter received from a lady in San Francisco. She had been struggling with chronic illness for years. After attending my lectures, she began to apply this principle of relaxation and trust. Instead of fighting against her condition, she would spend time each day feeling the naturalness of perfect health. She wrote to me, Nebula, I finally understand what you mean by living in the end. I no longer pray for health. I live from the assumption of being healthy. I accept that I am already whole and perfect in my imagination. Within months, her health transformed completely. The doctors were amazed, but she understood the law at work. You see, my dear friends, this is the pattern shown on the mount. This is how creation works. Now, many of you struggle with the time gap between your imaginal act and its physical manifestation. Remember this. Time is not a factor in the fulfillment of your desire. The only time that matters is how long it takes you to feel natural in the state of wish fulfilled. When you truly relax and trust, you don't concern yourself with when or how. You simply live in the end, knowing that the bridge of incidents will form itself. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to your imaginal act. Think about this: when you plant a seed in the ground, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You trust the laws of nature to bring forth your harvest. The same principle applies to your imaginal acts. Once you have planted the seed in your imagination, trust that it must grow. Let me share another technique I call revision. At the end of each day, before you sleep, review the events that didn't go as you would have liked. In your imagination, revise them. See them happening the way you would have preferred. Feel the satisfaction of these revised events. This practice accomplishes two things. First, it prevents unwanted seeds from taking root at your consciousness. Second, it strengthens your ability to consciously create your reality. Remember, my dear friends, the universe is infinitely responsive to your consciousness, for the universe is nothing more than your own wonderful human imagination pushed out. When you truly understand this, relaxation becomes your natural state. I want to share with you a profound truth that many miss. The state of relaxation and trust is not something you achieve, it is something you allow. It is your natural state when you recognize your true identity as God individualized. Consider this: does God worry about how things will work out? Does God struggle to make things happen? Of course not. God simply speaks the word knowing it must be fulfilled. And you, being God individualized, have the same creative power. Let me give you another exercise to deepen your understanding of this truth. Throughout your day, whenever you say I am, pause and remember that you are speaking the name of God. Feel the power of this awareness. Feel the absoluteness of it. When you say I am wealthy, you are not making a statement about your current bank balance. You are declaring the truth about your being in the realm of imagination, which is the only reality. My dear friends, the secret of relaxation and trust lies in this complete acceptance of your own divine nature. When you truly know that you are the operant power, all anxiety falls away naturally. The sun doesn't worry about whether it will shine tomorrow. It simply shines because that is its nature. In the same way, when you accept your divine nature, creation becomes effortless. You create because that is your nature. Let me share one more personal experience. Years ago, when I desired to travel and lecture across the country, I didn't worry about how it would happen. I didn't make endless plans and strategies. Instead, I would lie in my bed at night and feel the satisfaction of speaking to packed auditoriums. I would feel the joy of sharing these truths with eager listeners. I remained faithful to this imaginal act, trusting that the law must work. And here I stand for you tonight, living proof that what you imagine with feeling must objectify itself in your world. Remember this, the outer world is a shadow, a reflection of your inner assumptions. When you change your assumptions, when you change what you believe to be true, the outer world must change to reflect your new consciousness. This is why relaxation is so crucial. When you truly relax, you stop trying to make things happen in the outer world. Instead, you focus on maintaining the feeling of your wish fulfilled in your imagination, knowing that the outer world must conform to your inner assumption. Trust, my dear friends, is not about believing in external power. Trust is the absolute knowing that your imagination creates reality. It is the conviction that what you have assumed in your imagination must manifest in your physical world. As we conclude tonight, you take this truth home with you. You are not a helpless being at the mercy of external circumstances. You are God Himself individualized as you with all the creative power that implies. Tonight, when you return to your homes, choose something you desire experience. It can be something small or something significant. Then, as you prepare for sleep, assume the feeling that would be yours if your desire were already fulfilled. Fall asleep in this consciousness. Trust that Wode is working to bring about the circumstances necessary for the fulfillment of your desire. For remember, man's eyes are blind to the reality of a thing until imagination has brought it into focus. Go now in peace, knowing that you are also your own story. Relax into your divine nature and trust in the perfect operation of the law, for this is the truth that sets you free. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. Therefore, relax completely into the consciousness of your wish fulfilled and watch as your world transforms to match your inner assumption. Thank you and good night.
There is a great illusion that quietly governs so many lives. A silent myth we inherit, not through conscious choice, but through the habitual repetition of thought. And that myth is this, that the past, the wake behind us, somehow determines where we are headed. That the trail we leave, the mistakes we've made, the wounds we carry, the identities we've assumed, these are the engines of our future. But let us begin this moment, this breath, with a radical truth. The wake does not drive the boat. Close your eyes if you can. Feel the energy of that statement, not just with your ears, but with your being. The wake is nothing more than a trail of disturbed water. It is the evidence of where you've been, not the force that carries you forward. The engine is now, the rudder is choice, and the sea ahead is untouched, limitless, unconcerned with what lies behind. The ego, however, lives in reverse. It worships history. It tells you that who you were is who you must be. It reminds you again and again of what hurt, what failed, what was said, what was done, and it sells you the lie that these echoes determine your destiny. But the soul, the soul is not interested in echoes. The soul speaks in whispers of potential, not the noise of regret. It nudges you forward, always forward, never backward. You are not your story. You are not your name. You are not your wounds. You are not the patterns of your parents, nor the failures of your youth. You are not your mistakes, nor are you your achievements. You are not even your thoughts. You are the awareness behind it, all the vast, infinite presence that watches the play of memory without becoming it. We must awaken to this. No amount of looking behind you will ever steer you forward. No amount of regret will ever open the gates of freedom. You are here, now. And this moment, this sacred, unrepeatable now, is your access point to power. The divine does not live in your memories. The divine lives in the aliveness of presence. Let go of the identity that was constructed from the past. It is not your truth. It is merely a shell, a costume, a temporary role played in the theater of time. You are not here to repeat scenes. You are here to awaken, to remember the eternal, changeless spirit that you are, to return to the knowing that you are more than the circumstances you've survived. Imagine a boat gliding across the water, behind it, a churning white trail. That is the wake, chaotic, visible, but utterly powerless to move the vessel forward. If you were to ask, what makes the boat move? Would you point to the wake? No. You would point to the engine, and the engine is within you. It is your thoughts, your focus, your choice to return to the present. It is your decision to drop the heavy bags of resentment, blame, and shame, and instead lift your hands to the sky of possibility. And yet, how many of us live as if the wake has control? We say, I can't love fully because I was abandoned. I can't succeed because I failed before. I can't forgive because I was hurt. But hear this, these are not facts. These are decisions dressed as conclusions. And any decision made in fear can be unmade in love. Forgiveness is not for the past. Forgiveness is freedom from it. And when you truly understand that the wake does not drive the boat, you will no longer be chained to what was. You will begin, finally, to live what is. The mind, when left untrained, is like a boat without a captain drifting wherever the winds of memory take it. But your soul, your higher self, is the captain. It is the still point of clarity. And when you surrender the illusion of control, the illusion of certainty, the illusion of being right, something miraculous happens. You begin to glide through life with grace. This is not passivity. This is power. It is the sacred power of surrender, not surrendering to defeat, but surrendering to truth. And the truth is, the past cannot be changed, but your relationship to it can. The past is not your prison. It is your teacher. But you must stop worshiping it as if it is your identity. Release the need to retell the story of your pain. Drop the need to explain your limitations. Let go of being the victim, the struggler, the one who almost made it. These identities are just anchors in the water. The moment you untie from them, you sail. You were never meant to drag your history into every present moment. Life is not asking you to carry your old self. It is asking you to rise, to evolve, to awaken to the beauty that is here, now, always. What if today you stopped rehearsing your regrets? What if today you refuse to be defined by your suffering? What if today you looked at your wake, the broken pieces, the sorrow, the lost time, and you whispered, "Thank you for the lessons. Now I choose to move on." This is not spiritual bypassing. This is spiritual responsibility. It takes courage to move forward without dragging the past behind you like a worn-out coat. But I promise you, freedom lives on the other side of that release. You cannot sail to a new shore if you are anchored in a harbor of pain. You cannot hear the voice of your soul if you are always listening to the echoes of yesterday. And you cannot create a life of joy if you are addicted to the narrative of suffering. You are not here to be a historian of your wounds. You are here to be a creator of healing, a builder of beauty, a vessel for peace. You are not the storm. You are the ocean, vast, deep, unshaken. Let go of the fear that if you release the past, you'll lose who you are. That fear is a lie. You will not lose yourself. You will meet yourself maybe for the first time. You will meet the self that was never broken, never small, never lacking. The self that existed before the story, before the wound, before the name. That self is not moved by opinion, not confined by time, not disturbed by change. It is divine. It is eternal. and it is you. You've been taught to identify with the marks left by life, the scars, the memories, the bruises of time. But I invite you now to shift your gaze. Look not at what happened, but at what is emerging. The wake is gone, the present is alive, and your soul is ready. You can choose to live with the engine of your awareness fully ignited, charting a course that is not dictated by fear but inspired by love. Or you can keep looking behind you, hoping that certainty lies in the familiar. But hear me now. What is familiar is not always what is true. And what is true is that you are free. You are free to release the guilt, free to forgive yourself, free to step out of the costume you've worn for so long and say, I am ready to return to the truth of who I am. And who you are is not the wake, it is the wave, it is the wind, it is the witness to it all. Do you know what the wake truly represents? It is not only your past actions, it is also your past reactions, your interpretations, your judgments, your internal dialogues about what occurred. The past is not just what happened, it's what you told yourself about what happened. And that narrative is what keeps so many souls bound to sorrow. But here's a powerful truth. Interpretations can be changed, and when they are, the emotional chain to the past dissolves. You can look back and see betrayal, or you can look back and see the unraveling of illusions. You can see rejection, or you can see redirection. You can see failure, or you can see refinement. This is not delusion, it is perception infused with wisdom. It is choosing to see with the eyes of the soul rather than the lens of the ego. The ego clings to wounds as proof of identity, but the soul sees every event as a stepping stone, not a gravestone. We are not here to preserve the past. We are here to be transformed by the now. There's a moment, subtle but holy, when you realize you can drop the rope that's tied to that thing someone said, that event that didn't go as planned, that year you lost yourself, that version of you who didn't know better. You can drop the rope, and you will not fall. You will float, you will rise. It is your clinging that weighs you down, not the past itself. The past is done, the moment has passed. But the clinging, the retelling, the recycling, that is what creates the heaviness. So the question becomes, are you willing to travel light? Are you willing to walk into this new moment without dragging every yesterday behind you like a sack of broken mirrors? Are you willing to speak to your own heart and say, I forgive you, not because you did everything right, but because I no longer want to live in punishment? Forgiveness is not weak. Forgiveness is the highest expression of spiritual strength. It is the power to say, I remember, but I no longer suffer. It is the ability to step into your life without the story dragging at your heels. It is looking into the eyes of your reflection and seeing someone who has grown, not someone who has failed. If the wake does not drive the boat, then let us stop looking behind us when we steer. Let us stop consulting old pain for new direction. Let us stop returning to the scene of the wound and calling it home. The soul lives in forward motion. The soul does not repeat. It evolves. It flows like a river that does not apologize for its path. It does not ask permission to continue. It simply follows the pull of gravity, the gravity of truth, and that gravity is pulling you now away from fear, away from shame, away from blame, and toward the infinite sea of who you truly are. Can you feel that pull? It's quiet. It's not the loud voice that says you should have known better or you'll never be enough. That's the voice of the conditioned mind. The voice of old programming, the voice that got its instructions from a society more invested in conformity than consciousness. The real voice, the voice of the self, does not shout. It whispers. It says, you are already free. You just have to stop telling the story of why you're not. There is no salvation in the story. There is only freedom in the surrender. Let go. Not in theory, not as an idea, but in this moment, right now, breathe in, let go of who you were. Breathe out, let go of who they were. Let it all dissolve like mist in morning light. The moment you let go, you are reborn. The moment you choose to bless the wake instead of curse it, you begin to rise. Because the wake has no more power over you than you give it. You are not a victim of your history. You are the creator of your destiny. But destiny is not written in memory, it is written in movement. And movement requires release. Release the need to understand everything that happened. The ego is obsessed with explanation. It wants to know why they left, why you failed, why it broke, why it didn't go as planned. But the soul knows that healing is not an equation. It's a letting go. It's a softening. It's a return to the now. Do you want to heal? Then stop rehearsing. Stop reliving. Stop waiting for closure from people who were never meant to complete you. Stop needing to know all the reasons. Life is not a courtroom. You are not on trial. You are free to walk out of the prison even if no one explains why you were locked up. Let go. Let go not because it erases what happened, but because it restores who you are. And who are you? You are awareness. You are peace. You are the witness of this moment. You are the presence that sees without judging, that loves without clinging, that breathes without resisting. You are not the character in the storm. You are the sky in which the storm happens. All pain is a resistance to the now. All suffering is a belief that this moment should be different. But when you stop resisting, the suffering ends. When you stop telling life it should have been another way, peace begins. This is the paradox. You gain control by letting go. You move forward by releasing. You arrive by no longer needing to arrive. You become whole by no longer seeking completion. There is nothing to fix. There is only something to remember. And what you must remember is that the wake is just water. It is not your identity. It is not your future. It is not your truth. You are the boat. You are the wind. You are the wave. And you are the captain. The choice is yours now, to continue pointing backward or to face the open sea with courage, to replay or to rebirth, to suffer or to soar. There is no right time, there is only right now. And now is always enough. There is a quiet revolution happening in your soul, a gentle rebellion against the tyranny of yesterday. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't wait for applause. It rises like the tide, invisible but unstoppable. It rises not to destroy the past, but to transcend it, to outgrow it, to say, thank you for the experience, but I am not staying there. You were never meant to live in reverse. The mind, conditioned by the ego, obsesses over past errors and future fears. But your soul, it lives in the sacred now. It whispers truth into the space between thoughts. And its message is always the same. Return to presence. Let go. Be still. You are already home. Why do we believe the past holds more truth than the present? Because we've been trained to measure life by memory, to believe that what happened is more real than what is happening. But reality is not in the mind's museum of yesterday. Reality is right here in the breath, in the beat of your heart, in the awareness reading these words. You do not have to carry the weight of old identities any longer. They are not who you are. They are who you thought you had to be to survive, to belong, to be accepted in a world that forgot how to see the soul. But you have remembered. You wouldn't be here listening if you hadn't. Something within you is stirring, cracking open. The truth of your being is emerging through the shell of your story. There are no justified resentments. Not because the pain wasn't real, but because your healing matters more than your history. You cannot drink poison and expect someone else to suffer. You cannot cling to bitterness and hope for joy to grow. You must become ruthless in your forgiveness, not for them, for you, so that you can be light again. Let go of the idea that people owe you closure. That is the language of ego. The soul knows that closure is not given, it is chosen. It is an inner declaration. I will no longer wait for the past to fix itself before I allow myself to be free. The wake does not drive the boat. It may ripple, it may roar, it may foam with the memories of 1,000 storms. But it cannot dictate your direction unless you turn to follow it. And why would you? When everything you've ever sought is in front of you, not behind you. Peace is here, love is here, God is here. Not in the past, not in the future, here. You've been taught that to change your life, you must work harder, try more, do better. But the truth is far more elegant. To change your life, you must change your relationship with thought. You must stop letting your mind bully your soul. You must return to the seat of your power, the stillness beneath it all. What if you simply stopped arguing with the past? What if you chose right now to bless it instead? What if you thanked every painful chapter for teaching you what love is not, so you could finally discover what love truly is? The wake cannot hurt you. It has no substance. It's made of movement, not matter. But when you replay it in your mind, when you rehearse the anger, the disappointment, the shame you give it form again, you breathe life into a ghost. And that ghost sits in the captain's chair and steers you toward more of the same. You are the captain. Reclaim the wheel. The mind may resist. It may say, but they were wrong, but I was hurt, but it's not fair. And that's okay. Let the mind protest, but do not let it lead. Let the thoughts come like birds, but do not build nests for them. Watch them fly and return to presence. Every day you carry your story is a day you delay your freedom. You are not bound by the events of your life. You are bound only by the meanings you've assigned to them. So revise the meaning. See your scars not as proof of suffering, but as evidence of survival. See your failures not as losses, but as sacred redirections. See your losses not as punishments, but as invitations to remember the impermanence of form. Everything that was taken from you has made space for what cannot be taken your soul. There is a deeper you that has never been touched by trauma, never bruised by betrayal, never lessened by lack. That self cannot be harmed. It is eternal, invisible, unshakable. And it is the you that drives the boat, if you let it. The wake may tell a story of brokenness, but the current of now, it flows with wholeness. It knows where to take you. It knows what you need. It knows how to heal you without your effort, without your analysis. It simply asks you to let go of control and trust the unfolding. This is the holy paradox. The moment you stop chasing healing, you begin to be healed. The moment you stop fixing yourself, you realize you were never broken. The moment you stop managing your life like a machine and start living it like a miracle, everything changes. Let it go. Let it all go. Not to forget, but to forgive. Not to ignore, but to transcend. Not to abandon, but to bless. And in that letting go, you will finally be carried. Not by effort, not by willpower, but by grace. Grace is the silent power that moves through your life when you stop trying to control the river. It is the divine GPS recalculating, rerouting, redeeming every moment you thought was wasted. Grace doesn't need a plan. It needs your permission. And when you say yes to now, grace floods in. It heals you in ways you never could have planned. It restores what you thought was lost. It rewrites the script in a language of peace. And all it asks is that you stop pretending the wake can lead you. So here you are, at the edge of yourself, not the self you've tried to protect or prove or polish, not the image you've curated to please the world or the narrative you've whispered to avoid discomfort, but the real you, the eternal, infinite, unburdened being you were before the story began. You've arrived not because you pushed harder, not because you fought your way here, but because something inside you stopped clinging. Something inside you chose the radical act of surrender. And in that surrender, you remembered the wake does not drive the boat. All along, the river was flowing. All along, grace was moving. All along, life was not punishing you, it was preparing you. And all along, you were already enough. You never had to drag your wounds like trophies. You never had to use your past as a passport. You never had to convince the world you deserved to move forward. You only had to remember you are the boat, not the wake. Let the tears come, if they come, not as sorrow, but as cleansing, not as grief, but as recognition. This is not the end. This is the return. This is the moment when the past unhooks from your spine and you stand finally without the weight of who you were. Feel it. The lightness, the spaciousness of this breath, the sacred silence between your thoughts. This is home, not the memories, not the names, not the explanations. This presence, this is who you are. You are not what happened. You are what remains. You are not the echo. You are the voice. You are not the history. You are the awareness watching it pass. You are not broken. You are the light that shines through the cracks. You are not the wake. You are the wind in the sails of now. And so I leave you with this. No matter what the world told you, you are free. No matter what your mind repeats, you are enough. No matter what happened before, the sacred now is untouched and it is yours. Go forward, not as someone trying to escape the past, but as someone who no longer needs it to feel real. Go forward, not as a survivor, but as a creator. Go forward, not because the wake is gone, but because you've stopped letting it lead. Sail now, not because you must, but because you can. Sail with trust, with openness, with grace. And when the past calls out to you, when it rises in the rear view like a familiar ghost, smile gently. Place your hand on your heart and say, I bless you, but I no longer follow you. Then turn your face toward the horizon, wide, wild, limitless, and step fully into the radiant now, because this is your time, and this is your truth, and this is your life. And finally, you remember the wake does not drive the boat.